Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video we're going to be looking at a specific show on a YouTube channel called Storied, which is associated with PBS. This show is called Monstrum. I'm going to be looking specifically at their Dracula episode. Now this show is hosted by Dr. Emily Zarka. She is a professor of, I believe, English literature at Arizona State. She has a PhD in philosophy and English from ASU, specializing in romantic literature with an emphasis on the Gothic. So that is the person whose emphasis on this. Strangely enough, I did not know that detail until I started this show, and particularly doing this episode. I've been a fan of the show for a while. No, I am not advertising ASU. I have my own issues with that place. But moving on to this specific episode. So we're going to be looking at Dracula. So this is an interesting episode. In this short video, Dr. Zarka looks at Dracula and how it evolved, specifically looking at the history before Bram Stoker, who popularized the character and put a lot of the traits that we are familiar with into one, essentially. So previous stories about bloodsuckers had made them human, had made them able to transform, made them to be killed by stake to the heart, fear of garlic, holy water, stuff like that. But Bram Stoker is the first one who put them all together into one deadly creature. Now, I have covered Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, on this channel before, so you can be sure to check that out. That was last year. But she goes over kind of the history, a little bit of the history of vampires prior to Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then how essentially he catapulted this character of Dracula into the popular mindset. It was popular at the time. So it was, in fact, a popular book when he published it. I think it's the only thing he published. He was an assistant to, I think, a stage manager. That was his main job. He was an assistant to a stage manager. So after, of course, Dracula, you go into all the films that were designed after it. She specifically mentions Nosferatu, which was not sanctioned by Bram Stoker, and his widow sued and tried to have everything destroyed. Obviously, she didn't, because we're still aware of this, and it is still available. I think I originally saw it. There was a copy of it at my public library where I paged, which I put books away for during undergrad. And then you go into, of course, a lot of the other various different films of Dracula and the undead. And then, of course, she has to touch on the two people who made vampires sexy. And that, of course, would be Anne Rice, who started all with Interview with the Vampires and her Vampire Chronicles, and Stephanie Meyer. No, I'm not reviewing Twilight on this channel. Not going there. But she made them sexy as well and sparkle. We don't know why. We don't know why the sparkling thing. It may be a Mormon thing. Don't know. And that leads into other stuff. Again, we're not going to go into Meyer. But again, like Rice, she made vampires sexy and brooding. Particularly Anne Rice. Anne Rice likes the brooding vampires, and Anne Rice has issues. One of these days, maybe I'll cover Anne Rice, but there are people who've done it far, far better than I can, because I'm not an expert in her. I don't think I've actually read any of those books. I'm familiar with the films. But moving on. But that's really what this episode of Monstrum covers. It kind of goes a little bit in depth. It's really easy to be watched by pretty much any age group. I don't know if toddlers would be interested, but if you had early elementary, probably. Again, depends on the kid. They're easy to watch. They're not really all that scary. She's an academic, so she approaches it in that sense. So she's looking at the history. They're also not very long. Do not know exactly how long this episode is. I'll look that up. So Let's see if I can get Storied in here and look at her playlist here. And here we go. Full Monstrums. Pull that out and see how long Dracula is. Here it is. It's only about 7 minutes, so it's not very long. It's only about a 7-minute video, so it's good to give a good introduction and a good overview of Dracula and the mythos behind it. So that's really it for this review. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the channel. I do a lot of book reviews. Like I said, I've covered Dracula. I've also covered Frankenstein and The Phantom of the Opera. I covered those kind of darker classics / Gier, so you can check those out. I do fiction, nonfiction, children's books. Most of my stuff is focused on homeschooling because we are secular homeschoolers. So that's kind of the theme and interconnecting. I also do film reviews, not modern films. I have a small child. I don't go to theaters because I have a small child. But I do a bunch of other stuff. So be sure to check out the channel, like and subscribe. I am covering more of Monstrum on this channel, particularly this. This is being shown, of course, in October of 2022. So again, like and subscribe. Thank you.